everyone again, and welcome back to the channel, I guess I should say. Let's see, we are listening again to the Troubleshooter Abandoned Children soundtrack. Today's song is Tristesse. It's a bit of a softer song, but yeah, let's get into it. I mean, we've also got Bucky here. And apologies for the lighting. It's really hard to control lighting with the sun as your only lighting source. And so let's see. Today we are going to talk about the actual breakdown period. Oh my gosh, yeah. So to I guess quickly recap and actually so I was thinking about what I said last time in regards to my past relationships. And yeah, I realized like one of the things that I realized, or one way that I can talk about what happened, is that I was overcome by fear. And I think that's probably a good way to just talk about this whole time period in my life, basically from 2016 to like 2017 or so. I was yeah, failing at having a healthy relationship with fear and anger in my life, and in particular with that relationship, yeah, it was fear that it was very, in particular, it was very acute fear of causing emotional pain that caused me to that I think led to a lot of the decisions that I made, and in particular to us splitting up. So yeah, so thank you all for that. I haven't, I don't really spend a lot of time thinking through how to conceptualize this in different ways just for myself. Um, but yeah, so relationship ends. I was very frantic about trying to, I don't know, do my part to make the world a better place. That was really my main goal. That was my main focus in life, and there was a lot of anger involved with that. In particular, just as a black man, one of the first things we have to learn in life is how to control our anger, because just the world gives us all sorts of unnecessary bullshit, and so if you don't know how to deal with your own anger, you're liable to very quickly get into situations that you don't want to be in. And so I think I learned too early and too well how to control my anger, and so I like basically I had turned it off. This is an important thing. I grew up, growing up, most of my life, I would say I was severely depressed. And so depression is not the same as sadness. Sadness is an emotion. It's feeling sad at times is healthy to a certain degree. Feeling consistently sad is not as healthy, and depression is a muting of emotion, of the entire emotional spectrum. It's not the same as sadness. It's a whole different animal. People who have been severely depressed know the difference. And so yeah, part of that controlling of anger was that all of my emotions were muted. So it was a lot easier to control my feelings when they weren't as strong in general. Um, so when the colors, the hues of my emotional spectrum became more vibrant and vivid, becomes a bit more challenging to keep the reds under control, the reds of anger. Anyway, yeah. So I did a lot of running around. I spent time with different friends in different places at that time. And yeah, I don't have regrets about that time. If anything, I feel like I learned some important lessons about myself. I learned that even in cases of extreme anger, like my instinct is not to be violent. I was never violent with anyone. I was even able to provide like support and comfort to a lot of people in that time, in that phase when I was not balanced. But I did eventually burn out I eventually burnt out and found myself needing more support than perhaps I ever had in the past. And part of what came out of that was like I hit a different rock bottom. I wouldn't say it's the. I'm not sure if it's the deepest bottom, but I hit rock bottom again, and I was extremely fortunate. I am extremely fortunate to have a mother who was willing to support me. I My rock bottom was me going back home to spend time with my family, which is not a bad rock bottom. Most of my childhood, in the time that I was depressed and all sorts of things, like I had a terrible relationship with my mother. I very frankly, I hated her. I had my reasons and whatever, but we didn't have a good relationship. It was only after I became an adult and, we each grew and I like that we developed a good relationship. Actually, from the time that I turned 18, like the moment I graduated college and became a Buddhist, like my main goal and prayer was to, well, it was a two-part prayer. One to I don't know, melt the ice around my heart, or like I don't know, somehow take down the walls around my heart because there were some walls, and the other part was to find a way to develop appreciation for my mother, because I knew, like, just I don't know, on an instinctive level, I knew that hating her was not a good thing. um, anyway, so she took me in when I needed support. She like and at that point I was utterly useless to the world. Like I basically my entire world, like my entire like I don't know world view or most of my world view like just crumbled around me. Because the entire time I thought I was doing the right thing. I mean that is the I don't know, that's inherent to, I think, mental illness in general. It's very hard to see your own actions as potentially unhealthy or destructive or self-destructive or unsustainable. Um, yeah, and so that was actually my biggest fear at the time. My greatest like my greatest fear came true, which was that I couldn't trust my own mind. And for someone who like in many ways, emotionally speaking, I've been very self-reliant my entire life. Like not being able to trust myself was rough, I gotta say. So um, anyway, I do a lot of I don't know. I did a lot of traveling. Spent some time with different friends, and well, I wouldn't say a lot of traveling. I traveled to a couple of places, and I was basically trying to do a version of what I'm doing now. Except I was in quite a rush, and I didn't have the preparation necessary. Um, yeah, I wanted everything to happen right away, and I burned out in the attempt. Um, and so when I ended up like in my old room or in my mom's house again, basically useless, not even working, I barely even getting up every day to like take care of myself. Like I was depressed. That was real depression again. I knew that whatever I did, I had to make sure that I never reached that place again. And for that to happen, it meant rebuilding myself from scratch. Like it meant like one of the ways that I think about what happened at that time for me is my roots weren't healthy. Like if I think of myself as a tree, I had accomplished a lot of really cool things in life. I had some really amazing branches. I had some fruit and whatever. Like I was a pretty large, majestic tree, but my roots were not solid. And so when, a real storm came into my life, like I fell over. And so I knew that I had to start slowly. I had to make sure that my foundations were healthy, that my foundation was healthy, and that my root system is healthy. And so yeah, like I gotta tell you, like I could go into detail about how I went about rebuilding myself, but yeah, I spent I've been in therapy for many years of my life. Like in high school and after high school, I have a lot of experience in therapy. I have a lot of experience in like faith-based practices. I like I knew intellectually what I needed to do, and so it was hard. But yeah, I took the time and took my time rebuilding myself. I like little by little was started taking care of myself. Started working again. Started earning trust at my job. Got promoted. Like it was it, it it was an important time for me. I also very quickly after crumbling, maybe 6 months later, tried to go back and finish school again. I tried to finish that last semester, and it did not work out. I do not regret attempting to go back. I saw my ex at the time with someone else, and I mean, it was hard to see that on different levels, but I think it was also important for me to have those experiences. I didn't even finish that semester. I left partway through. I wasn't ready, but the attempt was important. It was an important attempt. Anyway, after that, I just threw myself into, well, I wouldn't say threw myself into, I was kind to myself, and I was basically like nurturing a new plant, the new tree of my soul, and my battery died all of a sudden. It was at 75%. I have nothing to say about that otherwise. So nurturing the tree of my soul, and yeah, it's recovery is hard to do if you're hard on yourself. And yeah, that was a lesson I had learned. I had long since learned. So I knew I had to push myself to expand, in order to grow. I had to push myself to in ways that would be uncomfortable, but it was always a measured discomfort. It was intentional. It wasn't just like pushing myself wildly to be ready for things that I wasn't yet ready for. And yeah, so I appreciate my mother immensely. Like I think I think that time actually really cemented our new relationship. Like uh, yeah, it was. I mean, it was kind of well, it was very much like being a child again, and or in some ways a child for the first time. Like really feeling like I was safe enough in my environment to just be taken care of, which was really it was really important time for me. Um, and yeah, I mean, I think that's about where we'll wrap it up this time. I mean, yeah, I started working. I started, getting on my feet. I was at least functional. I reached a place of functional stability, and in the process, I had to. There were many things I gave up because I knew I wasn't emotionally secure or stable enough to handle them yet. Like for example, One Piece. Like I couldn't read One Piece for a long time, or I didn't let myself read One Piece for a long time because I just wasn't ready. um, and yeah, um, yeah. I guess to compare it to something, this would be kind of like Luffy after he loses someone very important to him. I will not give this away, but he's broken by his grief and inability to see through his objective and inability to protect someone important to him. Um, yeah, but after such experiences, there is the potential to come back stronger. That was what I wanted to do, and the years since that experience have been devoted to building a self that can withstand even the greatest of challenges emotionally. All right. Thank you all so much. I hope this was good for y'all. Peace.